Good afternoon, everybody. Friday the 13th. So I've been told. Hopefully it's working out well for you. Last day of the week. Looking forward to the weekend myself. We're going to hit some 90-degree temps in Sacramento. Finally. I'm looking forward to it. It's been cold all week. We usually get over 100 people. We're hovering, 60 participants right now. So welcome everybody. Happy Friday the 13th, 3 o'clock. We've got a fair number of people, not quite our 200 crowd, but we're inching that way. So I am subbing for Angela today. She's got some technical difficulties. I'm sure that she would love to be here and tell you we rely on her for just organizing and just synthesizing all of the stuff that is going on in CALPADS, and it changes by the minute at times. But there are a couple of things that I do want to mention before we get into answering your questions. Brandy's still on vacation. We hope Paula will join us pretty soon. If we come across questions that we need their assistance on, we're likely to ask you to send in a ticket so that we can get it addressed at that time. We have not made a decision about the office hours yet. We're still getting a strong showing here. Angela wanted to wait and see how the release went and just what kind of fallout we have, if that required additional hours with you guys. So I'm pretty sure we're going to continue on Monday with the office hours, and then maybe next week we'll figure out, do we need to reduce the hours or we should stick to the 3 days. So a release did go in on Wednesday night, and then you would see the results on Thursday morning. We thought that we had the SPED 546 in that release, but apparently it wasn't. And so Angela proceeded to update the tickets to say the fix was implemented, only it wasn't. And so we are trying to see, it was ready, it just didn't get picked up. So we're trying to see if we can't get it patched. So the SPED 546, we have a fix for it. We're hoping to patch it, and we will update all of those folks again to say, yes, this time it is in. And there's still several other SPED known issues that have not been fixed. And I know you guys are anxious to know approximately when we're going to get those things fixed. And it's really hard for us to tell you that. We work with a team of, 10 developers or so, and they're picking up things as fast as they can. And so it's just a matter of them working on it. We are prioritizing. So the SPED tickets or defects and the defects on the student profile, IVRs, the SENR, the SPRG, the SIMP, the CELA, all of that is our top priority because it impacts testing. So do know that we know how important it is. We know how anxious your district is or your LEA is to try to get these kids into TOMS so they can be tested, and we're working as fast as we can, but it's hard for us to tell you when we're going to have something done. Just know that we are prioritizing, and that's what's at the top of our list. What we also have going on still is and it gets quite complicated. It's like peeling away the onion when it comes to the SENR 27 and the SSIDs and not being found and can't get one. There's a variety of things going on. So the SENR 0027, there is one scenario in which we have multiple transactions happening in the same extract. And this is more for the CSIS vendors, that they know how to, when they generate the extracts, they put what type of a transaction is. Are we deleting a record? Are we adding a record? Are we replacing it? And so in the CFS, it describes those transactions and how the system uses them. We've learned that the R transaction isn't functioning the way it used to in legacy. And so we had a meeting with the vendors yesterday, and we talked about transaction processing, and we've asked them to stop using the R transaction. So in addition to that, we also found out that we need to separate the transaction activity from each other so that all of the deletes have to be in a separate file away from the adds, away from the updates. And so we've explained things to the vendors, and we're trying to work on a memo communication out to the field as well as the vendors. So that's the high level of the transaction processing and how it's impacting SENR 0027. Just the way the system was built, the behavior right now is what we're dealing with. Not to say that we wouldn't look at ways to improve it and change it, but for now, we're gonna, respond back to you guys and just let you know on your tickets if this is the transaction processing, and we got to work with the vendors. Some of you guys have been able to manipulate your file, and you can separate. It's like the second value, I believe. When you look at the actual extract, it has the name of the file, and then it has a field for transaction type, whether it's a D or R. When it's a blank, it's an update. That's not the same thing as an R. So anyway, I'm not going to spend the whole time talking about that stuff. I want to get to your guys' questions. We still are advising that the SBRG file, that you not send that up just yet, because we still have some data cleanup that we want to do. I believe it's the education service year that got populated, and it's causing some problems as you add more records. So if you can wait, we would prefer you wait on updating the SBRG file at this time, and we hope to get that cleaned up very soon as well. So with that, I think I'm going to move forward. Anything else, you guys, that I should have said?
I think you got it.
Okay. So Eric Shell, that first question, SPED 546, shows as a recently applied fix, we are still getting 24% of our Pleasanton transactions, getting it on 24%. So Eric, yes, we prematurely marked it as fix implemented. We thought it was. We're hoping a patch will go in and we'll get all of those updated again and let you know when we have that done. Jahadi, question 1, this is a known defect, 6016. The issue SPED 546 still exists. We can't submit any annual files. Yeah. 6016 is something different, right?
That's the same one.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Oh, we gave it a new number?
No, I think it's the same.
Okay.
So what you already told them.
Okay. So we know it's a big deal for you guys, and it is holding you back on testing these students. So we're trying to get that in. Tiana, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly. I apologize. We need Brandy here to pronounce everybody's name. Question 1 scenario. We have Construction Tech 1 with a course level of a concentrator. However, we have Construction Tech 2 and Construction Tech 3 as capstones. Can a student be a completer for Tech 2 and the next year be marked as a completer for Tech 3? Students must complete the course in sequence 1, 2, 3. The MOU agreed to these course levels in defense of giving the students the opportunity to become completers, and that many students cannot fit in their schedule 3 years of CTE courses. All right, so who followed that?
It sounded like, are they asking that whether or not one student could be considered a completer twice?
Yes, that was my understanding.
I mean, we would have to ask our program office, but it doesn't seem to me they would say yes.
And isn't it true you can only be a completer in one particular
pathway?
Yeah.
Right.
So when I read the question, it seems to me like maybe they're thinking they're completer with with only going through Construction Tech 2. That's also a capstone. If they complete there, is that enough? Do they need to go to the Construction Tech 3?
Okay, I gotcha.
Okay, so, and if that's the question, I mean, it's up to the LEA to determine what they believe to be a completer. So if the first capstone is a completer to them as well as the other capstone, then either one would look to us like a completer.
Yeah, so the sequence, right? Your CTE coordinator knows what are the courses for a given pathways that they'll accept, and there are some rules around, what are the requirements for somebody to be marked as a completer. you locally have to be sure that those students have met those requirements. And CalPAD's not going to know that. They're not going to know what grade they got. Well, they may, but they don't know how many hours the student has put in this particular pathway. And so it is incumbent on the local district to track that. And when you believe they have fulfilled the requirements, then you mark them as a completer. So hopefully that was it. If not, please clarify additional questions that you may have. Sean, we are jumping from the ETS coffee call. Yeah. Okay. So we're up to 117. Thanks, Sean. Rebecca, just wanted to confirm that only LEA approval is required for the initial EOI deadline. Correct. We need SELPA level on EOI 3 and EOI 4, but not in that initial one that's at the end of July. Angela, should LEA still hold off on importing the CalPADS SELA and the SPRG ODS extracts into our SISs? We believe we fixed the SELA data migration problem, and that the extracts should be looking, the ODS extracts for the SELA should be okay as far as the data. What we have noticed in all of the ODS extracts, there used to be 2 fields at the very end. So when you requested an ODS extract for one of the file types, we would add a create date and I forgot what the other one represented, update, create date and update date. So your SIS vendors may be looking for those 2 fields and they're missing in some of the files. Sometimes there's a placeholder, a filler, but it's just all over the map. So the data is good in the SELA ODS extract. SPRG, if you recently put a file up, you may have some duplicates, may be kind of funky. So I would hold off on the SPRG ODS. Okay. So Madera Mariposa Selpa. Hi. SACE notified us that SPED 0539 is still a known issue, but it wasn't on the list of items to be fixed this week. What is the status of that? I don't have the window open to know what they're currently working on at this time, but again, if it is a how critical this one is, because there's like 6 of them. So there's some that we have higher up than
Alex says it on the screen.
Yeah, I see that. And I just don't know where it fits in. If there's 6 of them, I don't know, is this number 4 out of the 6? But they're all important and we're trying to work on them as fast as we can. Okay, so it is on the list, so I'm not quite sure why you guys didn't see it. It's 6048. And it was an early one that we had on the list too. So you got to scroll way down there. Chris, question 1, any status updates on the erroneous IVR 59 invalid student age for student initial US school enrollment K-12 errors? 59, IVR 0059.
Then there's the Q1 revised where he says.
Yeah, he meant IVR 9. Isn't that the invalid characters? Yeah. So we're still working on it. Ethan, are we expecting an EOI submission update on 5/18? Any idea when the EOI submission window might open? We will try to update you guys next week. Paula, do you think we're on track to say something on 5/18?
We said we would do an update in 2 weeks, so we're going to give an update in 2 weeks, which I think
we can do.
I think it's the 23rd, I think. Well, I'll look, but anyway, yeah, we'll give an update in 2 weeks from when we send out that message.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I don't know that is a separate SPRG issue, but when I tried to use the online maintenance to have a program code 191 homeless, it kept giving me an error message, code not found. When selecting the dwelling type, my batch file did not post. We do have a bug, don't we?
Yes.
It's down there.
There
we
is.
go. 6007. 6007. So if you want to be linked to it, go ahead and send your ticket in. Natasha, so we will need to be extra careful about sequencing of submissions. I don't know how to respond to that.
I think she means when they're uploading their SCNR, they want to do their deletes or exits first before they do enrollments.
So like I mentioned, we did talk to the SIS vendors. They're going to be working on some solutions for you guys. But for those that are anxious and you have the ability to manipulate the extract after the SIS created it, that you could get a head start instead of waiting for your vendor to fix it for you. So yes, extra careful. Sometimes it's just, one or two records you may have to just remove from the file. Sometimes, depending on how you build that extract, it may be all of your kids. So yeah, being extra careful, knowing that there is this difficulty. Jackie, I'm missing my EOI3 certified data from the 15-16. Is there a workaround for accessing the data while that gets worked out, specifically 8.1? Do you think the ODS 8.1 is reliable enough for this right now? I took that ticket and I verified it, and I thought it was very strange. This is kind of old data, and it should be available previous years, the 2014-15 year and the 13-14 year, that data was there. I can't say for sure that the 8.1 ODS is reliable enough. It's really hard. So I'm not sure why you need to go back that far. That's kind of old data. And maybe you're doing some comparison. And so maybe it's okay for doing some comparison work. It'll be close enough, perhaps. We can't say for sure, Jackie. Our focus has really been on the redesign work. So that one, we don't have a whole lot of resources for somebody to go and research and figure that one out. Is there a particular reason why that year, the 15-16 year, is critical, that data to you? Let me know, update, let me know. Sorry if this has already been announced. Any update on the known issue 6058, processing student exits and roles in the same file? So that was my beginning message, in that we've learned that this is the new system behavior. And so for right now, until we address this, which will be a little bit later, we'll see what we can do. But for right now, we do have to separate the exits from the enrollments. And when we say we, the SIS vendors are going to need to do that. And so again, it's like manipulating the transaction types, the Ds from the deletes from the ads, the same thing with the exits and the enrolls, that you can do it, or you can wait for your vendor to build that in. It was just yesterday that we informed the vendors that this is the new system behavior. So it's going to, give them some grace period here. It's going to take them some time to put something in place to meet the new system behavior expectations. So Sean, I think that's your second one. So that's at 311. I just assumed everybody knows question 1, question 2, even though I didn't say that at the beginning.
You trained them well.
Yeah, I know. I was building off of that. Okay, Mary, she was commenting on that Tiana's question. Isn't it true that there is only one state course code for a pathway capstone? Does anybody know off the top of you guys' head? I think that is true, that your construction tech 2 versus construction tech 3, they both can't be marked as a capstone. They can maybe skip one of them, right? They can maybe skip the 2 and just take the 1 and the 3 and get you. But very good point, Mary.
Well, pathways, depending on the pathway, there can be multiple capstone courses that can be mapped. However, I think Mary's point is, you can only be counted as a completer once per pathway on the cohort report. Technically, I didn't see anything that would prevent the student, because she specified 2 separate years, from being reported on 3.19, which is the completer report, twice for the same pathway, but on the cohort report, you're only going to be counted once per pathway.
Oh, thank you, Nate. Very good point. So Ethan, your Q1 follow-up, we'll get to that. 317. Okay, Stephanie, is there an estimated time when we will be able to send up our early graduates? It is causing issues with testing and meeting our percentage. 585. It's at the top of getting things worked on, but I do not know when. So I do not have an estimated time for you, Stephanie. I am so sorry. Is commenting on what she learned at the ETS coffee hour. Her question one is, when will the CC resolution report be fixed? It has been broken since CALPADS came back online. CCEs cannot be accessed under anomalies management. No, there's numerous CCEs, but CALPADS cannot see to resolve them. In the grand scheme of things, Sue-Ann, CCEs are not critical to getting testing working, and that's our top priority. So the CCE defect has to wait. So I can't give you a time of when we're going to get it done, but just know it's lower in the queue because it's not essential for the testing aspect, and we're trying to address the defects critical to that, which are the SPEDs as well as the regular student profile IVRs. Angela, yes.
So I don't quite get, was telling the EL coordinators, or do you think that's the SPED coordinators, that CALPAD admins can manually add SPED?
I think probably at the ETS coffee talk that Bob probably thinks he just has EL coordinators on the call. So he's telling the people on the call that CALPADS admins can manually add records into CALPADS and not worry about the API. I think that's what was said.
Oh, you mean add them through
batch?
Through batch.
To the template,
yes.
Although it's not recommended.
Yes, and it's not really the online either.
Right. Well, I'll talk to Bob about how to say that more clearly.
But I think the problem is if you did it in batch or you did it in the API, you're still going to get the IVR error.
Right.
So
right. So, and I told him that. But.
So Angela Perkins, I think the exits and roles have been working together in SER batch upload. I've been able to post my SENRs no problem. Woohoo! Thanks for the fixes. Well, that's news to us. Are you well, okay, so the exit, it's the kid, one kid exits one school in your LEA and enrolls in another school in your LEA. Those are the exits and enrolls that we're talking about. It's the same kid having two different enrollments. One's an exit at one school and another is an enrollment at another school. So maybe that's why your SENR worked, because your kids are, it's happening at a different school. See it right there at the bottom, enrolls in this, student exits and enrolls in the same file. So it wasn't clear about, I believe it's within the LEA, but it could be even with other. Do you guys know off the top of your head?
It's within the file, right? So it's within the same LEA that the student is exiting.
Oh yeah, I guess it has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So can I clarify? So in other words, so it works if it's exit from one LEA and enrolled. Wait, yeah, but I thought this is what
you can't put that in a file. You can't put that in a file though, Paula, as Alex mentioned. When you send up an SENR, you have to have, those schools have to belong to your LEA. You can't enroll a kid at somebody else's LEA.
Right. Okay.
So why that is working for you, Angela?
Well,
I'm not sure.
I know one. Go ahead, Alex.
I was just going to say, my guess would be that those students are exiting her LEA and that's it. That student isn't there twice. It's just one exit.
Oh.
That would
not for the same kid, in other words.
Right. Yeah. So
got it.
The student is in that file just once with that exit, and there are other students with enrollments, and that's working fine because the student's not in there twice.
Got it.
But was that not working before? Was there a fix that?
No, there was no fix.
Okay, so this should always have been working.
Mm-hmm.
when it was only just one student, yes, but it was when the student was in there twice, one time as an exit and another time as an enrollment.
Okay, well, maybe later Angela can just confirm that that's what she meant. So we know that something
we could do that
going on. Okay.
I know an example that I recently did that I know for sure doesn't work is they were exiting a student out with an E150 to make some kind of mid-year change, and then they had an immediate record after that with an enrollment with the next date, and they're getting the SENR 027. So that's one example out of many other ones probably.
Right.
It's probably written up in the defect, Paula, but we will confirm with you. Do we see a lot of progress and improvement? There was a lot of change. So I think we have to wait for the dust to settle to really weigh in on the improvement. Our goal was to speed up the ability for you guys to get data into the system faster. And I think already you can see that some of the posting when we weren't in the stuck era, that they get posted fairly quickly. It's, you know, sometimes the approach is, it's a different way of thinking about, you know, if you had really, really clean data in your local system, that, you know, data could get in real fast and you can take action on it and, you know, get reports. But if you are using CALPADS to clean your data, the process, you know, may not be as fast for you as it is for somebody else that has really clean data, perhaps. I don't know. So maybe still too early for us to say. Jackie, missing the 15-16 data. I'm working on a large data project. CERT report was the less labor intensive route. Okay. Could you add that to the ticket though? That helps us just know so that we can justify moving it along. Kay Kruger, I see there is a fix implemented for the GER5 on the SINF. However, I am still receiving that error. Is it still being worked on? And this was quite some time ago. I thought that there was different flavors of the GER5, and you know, maybe we did fix it and something's come back. Is it just today that you got the GER5? Is it still being worked on?
I addressed a SINF GER5 right before the Q&A started, or the office hours started, and it was a legit GER5 for the SINF. It was just the wrong dates. So I'm not aware of a SINF GER5 issue ongoing right now that's not legitimate that I haven't responded to in a while.
So double check to make sure, read the error list of what causes the GER5. Usually you don't have the ownership, and so you got to really scrutinize the start dates and making sure it overlaps your enrollment record for the student. That's what, and if you know you believe that it's a legit record, then send in a ticket for us and we'll take a look. Maybe have to reopen it. I don't know. Lily, what are EOY expectations with so many known issues? Oh, I don't know what to say. So let us send out the communication when EOY is going to happen, and we'll talk more about expectations and strategies of being successful. You know, we have elementaries and we have unifieds and we have high school. So sometimes the approach is different depending on the type of school that you are, and small versus really large. What were you going to say, Paula?
Well, just that you should know that, you know, the various organizations that represent you all in terms of CSBA, Access, CSIS, all of these organizations have communicated directly to the superintendent about these issues, and they're concerned about end of year and the data and meeting deadlines and so forth. And so folks above us, you know, worker bee types, I guess you'd call us, know that issues out there. So we'll let you know as soon as we know if they make any decisions regarding that, but you should just know that they know this, from the superintendent to the deputies, they all know that this, that you guys are being really challenged this year and it's not your fault. So just so you know that.
Thank you, Paula. So Mary is responding about the CTE pathway. So take a look at what Mary had to say. Kay Peterson, question 2, I'll write that down at 324. Marcy, we need to do our rollover by June 15th. So I wish I had until July. Getting very nervous about our ability to complete EOY on our local time available. And, you know, maybe start talking to your administration as well as, you know, what does happen, you know, if you run out of time. Can it wait till you come back? Can somebody else do it while you're gone? You should start having conversations. You know, we like to think of it as a backup, you know, a backup plan, just in case things that, you know, you thought were going to happen don't happen. Then what would be your mitigation? How would you work around it? Okay. Oh, Angela had the GER 5 and then she re-uploaded it and went away. Thank you, Paula. From Lily. Shelley Ellison. There is a job in my view submission window that has my CDS code, but the email address is from Wind River USD. It was submitted. Send us a ticket, Shelley, please. I'd like to investigate that. And Derek, what time will the data be pulled from CalPads for the TOMS extract today? Do you know, Paula? Oh, there we go. So this is the letter, the memo that went out from ETS. So take a look at what's on the screen here. If ever you guys have any questions, you want to refer back to this, and this was updated on May 8th. ETS is manually processing the information twice a week. So it's pulled on Monday or the deadline is Monday and Wednesday. Is that when it gets pulled?
Well, I think that's written that way to make sure folks get it in by 5, but I think it's actually pulled a little later in the evening.
So today's Friday. We're not pulling data on Fridays, right?
Correct. I mean, that was their old schedule. So this is their new schedule. So, you know, anything you get in today, it'll be pulled on Monday evening.
So Rebecca has the link in the chat as well. Derek, if you need to have access to that. And Barreto, if I am counting right, there are 20 files that need to be submitted for the Fall 1, Fall 2, and EOY submissions. If we have to submit 3 different files for each file type, that would bring it to 60 files that we would need to keep track of for the 2 types of validations. It seems like it would be a huge additional work. You know, the transaction processing, it caught us by surprise. And so we are just communicating how currently the system is working so that people can work around it. And we'll continue to have discussions on how to make the system better. So then we have Marcy. Yes, I've been talking to them. No staff will be, okay. This is also, I believe, in regards to preparing for EOY and being able to get it done before you guys head off for the summer. We're all gone from then until August, just praying for deadline extension at this point. And we understand that, you know, there's a lot of 10-month, 11-month employees, and oftentimes if you guys don't get your work in and done by June, that some of you are working on it when you come back, and you're juggling starting school and finishing up EOY. So, you know, Paula and I, when we're in on those discussions, we make it well known to everybody that, you know, we have to take into account you guys' schedules, that some people are not here for the whole time EOY is processing. So we will be sure that they take that into account. Sue Ann, remember there is an art to flying, or rather a knack. The knack lies in learning how to throw yourself at the ground and miss. Thank you, Sue Ann. So I'm going back up to the top to find my Q2s. So we had one at 303. Any updates on GER 5? I am still having issues with the SPRG files. I would like to get this resolved before school staff leave for the summer break. And I think we've kind of talked about this before. SPRG is one of the student profiles. It's in the top, and it's a priority for us. I can't say when it'll get done though. And we know how it impacts everything else down the road. So we just have a lot in our plate. So we're working through it. Next one is at 311. Okay, Sean. Am I understanding we will now need to submit 3 files for the SENR? How quickly may we change this to the old processing? First file center, second file center, delete, third file center replacement. What if sometimes you need to replace before delete? This sounds like a lot of SENR staff errors for EOI. Yikes. You are understanding it correctly. We communicated this to the vendors, so they're going to try to build it out for you guys. And so it hopefully will be not as difficult, that they'll take the existing extract that they normally create and they'll divide it up into the 3. And so, but I don't know for sure. Yes, it sounds like a lot of work, and we'll just have to see what happens.
And Martha, is this a true statement though? Is that all the extra files really apply just to the files that are go through transactional processing, that the full replacement files, it doesn't really impact that?
That is what Remus said yesterday. So it may not be, the 20 times 3 in all file, and so let us, get our information straight and communication straight, and we'll be clear on, which files have to be broken up versus when it's a full replacement file. It's not adds and deletes, it's full replacement. So you don't have to have 3 different versions of a full replacement file. That's what we think. So stay tuned. So now we're at 317.
I think it was a Q1 follow-up from Ethan.
Thank you. 2 weeks after the initial EOI delay announcement is 518, but 523 works too. Just making sure I have the right date so I can set expectations with some folks downstream. Thank you, Ethan. Then we have 324. Okay, question 2. Maybe this was already addressed, but are the CELA issues corrected? I just got an email from another district asking me to delete an EL record since it was preventing the correct record of EL to go to Tom so that the summative LPAC can be taken by the student. I tried to delete the EO, but got the error message of invalid primary language. What we fixed with the data migration was the sorting. If there's still some bad data in there after we now have sequenced it correctly, the ability to remove that is still likely a problem.
6002.
So we were just trying to be sure, because back in the day before 2015, one LEA said this kid was EL, another one said he was EO, and we were sorting that correctly so that the last person that had the kid, that was the status that we used going forward. And so we put that order back in sequence, but not necessarily the ability to fix these particular IVRs. And I think that is all for my, no, Ethan too, at 325. Can you square CCEs? Can you square? CCEs are not critical to testing. And the bug about not being able to submit graduates, both being high priority and the no issue list, perhaps the graduate issue should be escalated. Not much point in opening up the EOI window if we can't submit graduate data, right? Well, there's a lot of other data too, Ethan. And so, there's only so much that we can do. And so, some of this is going to be, we're just going to have to phase things in as we go because there's so much work for us. And so in the scheme of things, CCEs aren't as critical. And I can see where if the student is concurrently enrolled in 2 different places, it does impact testing. So I stand corrected. I was just thinking you want to resolve a CCE for the sake of resolving the CCE. But yes, when we have a student enrolled in 2 different places. I believe Brandy said it was the last.
Enrollment. I mean, the most recent enrollment goes over to Tom's. Yeah. So CCE shouldn't impact the ability of the most recent LEA to test the student.
So that's how we are trying to manage the queue because it is so large. We just can't get to everything all at once. So we have to, figure out what's the hottest fire, if you will. So yeah, we recognize, high used to be severity high used to be a rare occasion, but now it's like almost all of them are high. They're all important. And so then you got to, take it to another level, of the high, what's really, really, critical after that. And that's how we keep re-grooming the backlog to make those determinations. And it's a lot. So I think I was through all of the Q2s. And so now I'm going back to the bottom to see if any more questions showed up after Sue Ann's lovely statement. Observation.
Douglas Adams quote.
Oh, you know your stuff there, huh? And who is it?
Douglas Adams, Life, the Universe, and Everything. It was the second volume in the Hitchhiker's Guide trilogy.
Well, Sue Ann and Paul are on the same page.
Arthur Dent, Trapped on the Planet.
Elsa, I have always separated my SCNR uploads into 3 files, one for students who need SSADs, one for exits, and one for starts. I send the exits first and wait for them to post and then send the starts. I always use batch file templates, which makes separating the file very easy. Doing it like this solves the current issue. I've been doing regular SCNR uploads since the system update, and I am very happy with the speed at which these post. Oh my goodness. That is so lovely to hear, Elsa. I must say, that is a bright spot in the weather these days. We'll have to copy that and share that with others. And I know that that's not the norm for everybody else. And, I'd have to take a look at, Elsa, just the size of your LEA if you're a one school district. It's probably, you are probably a rare gem out there that this is working for, but it's good to know. Can you send your email to me? I'd like to ask about this, is Mary Masters' comment to you. So hopefully you are seeing that in the chat, Elsa. Great one. Sue Ann from Sean. Mary, Elsa sent you a email, Mary. Eldrick. Elsa, Elsa, everybody wants to know what you're doing. Are you able to send student exits file with the student that has multiple enrollments? We're a big district and have lots of students that transfer between schools. Eldrick, we're a high school, 22,000 students. Wow, that's big. Large percentage of our movement is school to school. Awesome. This is really good to hear, Elsa. And I don't know if you're on the CSIS listserv, but I think your colleagues would really appreciate hearing how you accomplish this and how things are working well for you. Anyway, the SCNR at this time. Sean Walker, to Mary Masters, you can separate manually, and I've done it before with Illuminate, but if you are an Aries user, the SCNR files did this masterfully before. If you know how to read a text file, it's easy to separate, just time consuming. Yes, time consuming, I would agree. And Barreto, question 2, could CSIS do a training or video on how to do the steps that Elsa mentioned so that we could use these steps while we're waiting for the vendors to rework the extracts? Yeah, I think we can do that. Maybe we'll even tap into Elsa and see if she'll co-present with us. We'll get in touch with Elsa and we'll figure something out, Anne. So Nate and Marshall, keep that on your to-do list as well.
That's noted.
Okay. Natasha, you mentioned LEAs needing to come up with a backup plan. Has CalPADS considered adding additional staffing during this critical time?
Well, actually, in the current year budgets, there was some staffing provided by the legislature, but the state being what it is, it takes a long time to fill those positions. So I know that there are actually some interviews going on right now, but as you can imagine, CalPADS is a pretty complex system. And even when we do get new staff, it takes a while for them to kind of come up to speed. Yeah, that is happening, but it, take a little time for us all to feel the impact of more staff.
And rest assured, as this, as we go along, the department and CSIS, we will be working together and doing postmortem, which is like a debrief on, what went well, what didn't go so well. And come up with some lessons learned and areas that we need to improve upon. So it's not going unnoticed that this was not a smooth. And Barreto, I suggest as high as the sky severity. Yeah, and then another big chunk, they're going to be all high as the sky. Okay, Lori, when will mid-resolution resume? My concern is around the ELs and being able to tie together LPAC assessments from this year with recent prior years. We haven't turned off mid-resolution. It is incumbent, or what we are suggesting is when you're done with testing, all of your kids' testing done, then you can resume your mid-resolutions. So that's what we're saying, Lori. And I don't know at what point are you done with testing? You guys are pretty big. Really? Yes, please, Elsa. Okay, Elsa, you are very popular with your local practices, something that everybody wants to learn from. Sue-Ann, it's easy. You just use templates and sort them. Yeah, but we'll still demo something for you. And we'll tap into you, Anne, just to make sure that we're covering all the bases, the things that you'd like to see in that training. Sometimes it's kind of just, having some extra skills working with Excel, being able to manipulate files. SCNR problem with exits. Put the SCNR file into an MS Access database, separate the exit records, and make a separate text file for them. Then it will post OK. That's if you use Access. Maybe you don't, but Excel could do the same kind of thing. Mary Masters to Sean. Yes, I'm well versed in data manipulation, but just want the codes and have the transfer problem too. If the price is right.
Yeah, there you go. Make some money off this.
I don't know, Elsa, the word's going to get out that at the office hours, Elsa had this fantastic way, and here's her email. Natasha, Paula. LEAs also face those same challenges, limited budgets, union contracts, staffing shortages. So it is not realistic to expect LEAs to pick up the extra work. Understood, Natasha.
Yeah, we totally understand that. This is not, we wouldn't, yeah.
Here at Torrance, the testing coordinator told me testing is not complete until June 15th. Marshall, put in a link. And that's the end of our questions at this time. 3:52.
Yes, that document that I put in there, I posted earlier, and what I do is as I add more videos to Q&A and office hour videos, I add it to that document and just download it, paste it over top of the one that you had before, and it's going to keep adding those links to all the questions that are relevant in these Q&As and office hours.
And hopefully you guys' weekends, wherever you are in California, it's going to be a wonderful weekend for you guys as well. So thank you everybody for your hard work. We'll be back here at office hours on Monday. It'll hopefully be Angela, but keep it up, keep your sanity, do what you got to do to re-energize this weekend, and we'll be back at it on Monday. So take care, everybody.